Today we have a very distinguished guest from Germany, Mr. Stefan Tolz, a German producer and also one of directors of the new media project, which is called Adami. Welcome to our studio. Thank you for coming. Thank you that you found some time and devoted it to us. First of all, I would like you to introduce yourself, speak about your activities.
Well, I'm Stefan Tolz, and I'm here because I'm the program director of a new program, of a new prize, which is called the Adami Media Prize for Cultural Diversity in Eastern Europe. But by profession, I'm a film director and a film producer, and I'm living in Tbilisi, in Georgia, already for a long time. I studied in the Soviet Union time in the 1990s, beginning 1990s, 1991, in Tbilisi, film directing. Before I had studied in Munich, in Germany. And then I came here and got to know the whole area, the whole region. And I came back to live here, and for me it was always a very important question, aside from doing my own films and from producing own films, to see what this region can bring also to the world. So it's not only that I should do my films, but that also that I'm looking at what are other people doing. What are other people doing for films? And so this is why I also took this initiative to work for this prize and to work for this Adami Media Prize, to get the word out of what kind of films, what kind of topics people are shooting about films in countries like Georgia, like Azerbaijan.
Yeah, I know that this competition is quite new. You created it this year. I know that there is another prize. It's called Civic. Could you give more information about this?
The Civic Media Prize for Integration and Cultural Diversity is the biggest media prize in the sphere of migration, integration, cultural diversity in Europe. It's a prize for the European Union and Switzerland, and it already exists for 28 years. And it is always being presented in one of the capitals of Europe. There's always a big gala in the end. For example, this year in May we were at the European Parliament in Brussels, and it was hosted by the President of the European Parliament. The year before we were in Vienna, and it was hosted there, I think, by the President of Austria. The year before we were in Germany, and it was hosted by the Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier of Germany. We were one time in Strasbourg at the Palais. So it's always it's a prize, a very high prize. Why? Because cultural diversity usually, or in many countries, is being put into a little corner, and it's not in the center of attention of the media. In the center of attention are very often the majorities in the country, and the majorities are always deciding what is in prime time. And it's very important to bring these issues also of minorities to the hearts and to the minds of the people in the countries. And this is something that Civic has accomplished in Europe. You can see, if you look back 5 or 10 years, how many films there were about cultural diversity. And if you look now in television in Germany or in Holland or in Spain, and you see how many films have now cultural diversity in them, it's a totally big difference. I'm not only talking about news programs, I'm talking about detective stories, I'm talking about comedy films, about movies, about multfilms, so about cartoons. So this topic of cultural diversity is a topic that in all our societies is getting stronger and more important. And we see that at the moment in Europe with all the refugees coming and wanting to come to Europe, and we see the rejections in some areas, but we also see the people that say, no, it's part of our life and we have to discuss these issues. So it is a very, very vibrant issue, I think, for the world to come. And this is why it's important that in all societies, also in the Azerbaijani society, it's important to have it in main news programs, in main films, in main documentaries, that people see it and talk about it, and that it's just a normal and important thing for society to live in a multicultural society, and especially in Azerbaijan. I mean, you have a very, very big history in that. So we Germans can learn from Azerbaijan history and not only the vice versa. I think it's really a very important game to take a look across your own border. Sometimes this own border is in your own country because you don't know what is happening in the village next door.
Yes. And what motivated you to create this new project, which widens and which involves our countries, developing countries such as Moldova, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and others?
Yeah, the thing is, I'm already in the jury of the Civic Prize for 15 years now. And I've always followed which films have been entered to the competition, and sometimes there was a film that was entered from Ukraine or from Georgia, and it was disqualified because it was not a film from the European Union. And I always said, yeah, okay, it's not a film from the European Union, but it's a very important film, and the topic of multiculturalism shouldn't be limited only to the European Union. But the funds of Civic are limited to the European Union. So the Civic Prize cannot be given outside of the European Union. It's just because it is funded this way. And this is why I took the initiative, not me alone, but also together with other people, for example, from the EBU, from the European Broadcasting Union. We sat together and we were thinking, we have to do something for the East European countries and for the Caucasus. And this is why this initiative, I thought of my friends in Ukraine, of my friends in Georgia, or I also have friends here in Baku. And I said it's very, very important that they also get a chance, that their films that they make on cultural diversity issues will get a platform internationally, and that they will not only be seen in Baku and only be seen by a small amount of people, but that we can show the multi-cultural world of these different countries also in Germany, also in Switzerland, also in France.
Yes. And the name of this project is very fascinating because, you know, in Turkic languages, in all Turkic languages, we have the same word. But why you chose this word?
Well, I'm myself living in a multicultural background because I'm a German living in Tbilisi. Of course, many people say, what do you do as a German in Tbilisi? And I'm driving in a multicultural car because I'm driving a Volga 21, so I'm driving an old Russian car, and I'm not driving a Mercedes, a BMW, or an Audi. So this is a very, very strange situation, and I learned the Georgian language. And in the Georgian language, you have the word Adami, and Adami means, like in Russian, человек, or person or man, so Adam. And of course, Adam is also the first man, the first human being. So the whole idea was that films, we are people, and we are making films about people, and we are making the films for people. So in the end, all what we are doing with media, nevertheless, whether we are a film director or whether we are a journalist, it's always about, in the end, it's about people. And this is what everything should be about, and it shouldn't matter whether it's about a black person or a Chinese or an Azerbaijani. We are all people, and this should be at the base of our understanding of what we are doing in the media.
As you know, Azerbaijan is a very developing country, and we have a lot of religious and national minorities, but sometimes it is very difficult to show to the world. What do you think? Will this project help us in promoting these cultures?
I think this is really up now to the Azerbaijani producers, to the Azerbaijani filmmakers, to the Azerbaijani broadcasters to show it to the world. We open the window, and now you have to show us what you want to show. You have to enter, you have to show. And we can just, and this is my job as program director of Adami, to give you the right people to watch it, to give you people that have the power in the media of the other countries to promote the films that we will get and that you will show us. So of course it can help. It can be a very, very good chance with a project like that, because in the jury there are people from the BBC, there are people from Arte, from France and Germany, there are people from ZDF, from ARD, so from the big broadcasters from Western Europe, but there will be also people from Georgia, from Belarus, from Ukraine. There will be people from these 6 countries taking part in these jury sessions, so that we watch these films together. And I think this is a very important process. And in the end, we will have 3 nominated films in each category, which means that in our gala, which is being broadcasted internationally, it's an international gala, and you will see a little piece of these 3 films that are nominated in each category. And already this will help, of course, promote topics that nobody has heard about before. For example, you have so many Lezgins in Azerbaijan. Who knows about Lezgins in Germany? Nobody. So it's really something that gives a chance, that opens a window about topics, and not about topics how Germans would film Lesbians in Azerbaijan, but how Azerbaijani filmmakers make films about a minority in their country. And I think this is a very important step of cultural understanding, not to make films about others, but to listen how others want to be seen and how others want to tell their story.
You also mentioned nominations. Could you give us more information, and maybe requirements are very tough?
Of the prize, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, so there are 6 categories, and the 6 categories are in 3 spheres. The first sphere is the sphere of television programs. So these are films and programs that have been broadcasted in the last 2 years that can participate. And there is one category which we call for entertainment and fiction. That means it can be a contest, a song contest, it can be a comedy show, it can be a fiction film. But it has to be screened, has to be broadcasted. And of course, it has to be on the topic of cultural diversity and of integration. So this is a very, very important part, of course, that it has to fit to our topic. The second category is the category of information and documentary film. The third category is a short category, which we did especially for news, because I think there are so many news pieces that nobody ever thinks about. And sometimes I see that journalists have so much energy and make such a nice piece in 2 minutes. And in Cannes and in Venice and in the big festivals and the Oscars, you always see the big movies with a lot of money. But nobody puts the attention on these little 2-minute or 3-minute pieces. And this is why we have a category for these short films. So if somebody has made a little film on a fisherman that has a Russian background and it lives in the front of the coast of Baku, and he has made a really nice film, maybe he win the prize. So I think it's really important to understand these categories are very open. They are very open. So we have these 3 categories in television. Then we have one category which is called the Young Adami Prize, which is for filmmakers until they are 28 years old. And it is for students of film schools, of institutes, of journalistic institutes. It can be for independent filmmakers until the age of 28 if their film has been screened at a film festival. Or, of course, it can be a film of a TV station if the director is not older than 28. So this is a young prize. It's much more free. It can be fiction, it can be comedy, it can be a journalistic piece, everything. You just have to be not older than 28. And then we have 2 online categories. And one category is the category for a web page. That means that a whole web page is dedicated to an issue, to a topic that has to do with cultural diversity. And the last category is just an online video category, which means this can be just one video that has been shot in a very interesting way about cultural diversity, about anti-racism, for example, about some little piece. It can be on YouTube, it can be on Vimeo, it can be on your website, it can be wherever it is. It should be online, and it should have been put online first in the last 2 years. So this is always kind of our deadline. Everything has to be quite new, but in the last 2 years, till October 25th, because so anybody who sees this interview now and thinks, great idea, go out, shoot a film, put it online. Until October 25th, you can enter it for the online video prize.
Okay, I noticed that you enhanced all members of society, both individuals and professional journalists. So it's very interesting, and it creates all the opportunities for creative people. And I wanted to learn your opinion. Everybody knows that multiculturalism has failed in Europe, but Azerbaijan chooses this policy as the state one. What do you think about the prospects, about the targets of Azerbaijan in this sphere? Will we succeed? What do you think?
I don't agree that multiculturalism hasn't failed in Europe. I mean, we have in different countries different situations, and we see the problems that we have in states, and that always there are a lot of resentments towards minorities. And there are countries like Germany that have not that experience in multiculturalism as does have Azerbaijan. or it does have Russia or other countries in the east, where you have much more minorities together. And if you think at Azerbaijani history and you look at the years of the first Azerbaijani independence in 1918 to 1920, you see how much potential there is for different nationalities living together peacefully and building up something. And so I think but the very important thing is the living together and not living aside from each other. So the important thing is that one thing is that we say we have this minority and they are living peaceful in our borders, in the borders of Azerbaijan. But the second question is, do we really know how they live? Do we really know what kind of celebrations they have? Do we know what they are doing? And therefore I think these programs are so important, that these programs should be for the minorities, but we have to show Azerbaijani reality to the minorities, and we have to show minority reality to the majority in Azerbaijan to get a better understanding between the two. And this is why I think what I've seen now in the last 2 days here in Azerbaijan, or looking at your television, what you are doing, that these are, I think, incredible steps. I'm amazed what is already happening in the country. So I really hope that this is a very good way of creating a media environment for this multicultural society, because it is very important. The media plays such an important role nowadays, that it is important if Azerbaijan wants to stay a country where so many different peoples can live peacefully together, then it is very important to reflect that in the media.
Quite frankly, your speech motivated journalists to enroll this competition, and I hope that Azerbaijan will succeed. I want to express my gratitude one more time that you found some minutes and devoted them to us. Thank you very much for coming. I hope that we will meet each other in Tbilisi. Thank you.
I hope so too. On December 10th we have the big gala and an international broadcast of the gala. And there will be 18 nominees, the 6 categories. The 3 best will be invited to come to Tbilisi on an international evening. And I really keep my thumbs in here, my fingers crossed, that there will be definitely some competitions from Azerbaijan.
Thank you very much.